Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Taking the Points. Today, I'll be running through the show without our co-host Grant. I got my pops with me, Daddy-O, Jay Bird, Jay Gruden. How's it going, Dad?
Hello, JJ.
Hello. First and foremost, I don't know if you saw it. Did you take Victor Hovland yesterday in the BMW?
No.
That was unbelievable. I can't believe you shot a 900. That's crazy. I know this is a football podcast, but wow. Damn. Dang. Today's a cool episode. We have a bunch of guests coming on throughout the Twitter space, TikTok universe, everywhere. I know Dad follows a lot of these people too on TikTok. I know he pops up on his feed every now and then. Hey, did you see this guy go on? Blah, blah, blah. We got a lot of those coming on today. It's going to be fun and exciting. They're also going to come on, give us their favorite team future, as well as their favorite player prop of the upcoming year. My dad might weigh in on it. I might weigh in on it. I might call him an idiot. He might call him an idiot. But we'll see how it goes going forward. This episode is presented by BetJack. Above all, we got the BetJack apparel on, looking good, Dad. I think peach is your color. Brings out your eyes.
Thank you, JJ. Black looks good on you.
Brings out your face. It actually protects my body fat too. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and get right into it. I want to go ahead and do 3 quick season previews of games coming up. We got the Eagles, the Bengals, and the Chiefs. Pop, I'm going to run down each team. I'm going to give you the team that they're playing against from week 1 through 18 or week 1 through 17. And I want you to tell me who's going to win that game. That way we get the overall record. So let's go ahead and start real quick with the Kansas City Chiefs. We're going to go ahead with the Super Bowl reigning Kansas City Chiefs. Let's start with week 1. They play at, here we go.
Home.
Let me see here.
Play Detroit.
Nope, here we go. All right, Kansas City Chiefs, week 1, Detroit Lions. Who you got?
I'm thinking Detroit. They're going to come out guns a-blazing, a lot of weapons, and going to be a heck of an atmosphere, but I think Detroit's going to pull the upset.
Jacksonville Jaguars, week 2, at Jacksonville.
Taking Kansas City in that one.
Chicago Bears at home.
Kansas City.
New York Jets.
I'm taking the Jets, Jets. Now, the one thing about Kansas City, they only lost 3 games last year, and all 3 games, they lost the turnover margin, I believe, and the time of possession margin. So teams that can control the ball and not turn the ball over and can create turnovers have a chance. They were very close. They were 6-0 in their division last year, but there were a lot of close games. So in those close games, if you can win the turnover battle and the time of possession battle, you have a chance. Projecting these games right now at this time is kind of silly, but we'll go through it and give it a shot. All these games should be close and very well contested. It'll come down to the turnover margin and the penalties.
You know, the Kansas City Chiefs did have one of the best records in the NFL last season. They actually had one of the worst records against the spread, so maybe keep that in mind as well. Kind of go back to your point on that, on time of possession and all that. At Minnesota.
Kansas City will get that one. Who?
The Broncos.
Kansas City. Like I said, they were undefeated in their division last year, and I didn't see any team in that division other than Sean Payton. I don't see Denver making a huge upgrade to their roster, so I think Kansas City still runs that division.
Los Angeles Superchargers.
Same. I think the Chargers have done a little bit to help out their quarterback, and they're going to get a little bit better. Both games were very close last year, but I still think Kansas City has the edge with the great players that they have on offense and defense.
What a gauntlet. You go Denver at home, Los Angeles at home, but then you go back on the road to Denver, 3 divisional games in a row. Denver Broncos in Denver.
Yeah, they'll beat Denver again. I just don't think Denver's ready yet. Sean Payton takes a little bit of time for his system to get locked in there with all the players. I think towards the end of the season, you'll see Denver make a lot of better run for some victories, but early in the season, I think it'll still be rough for the Broncos.
Dolphins.
Miami Dolphins. I'll go Miami in this one. I think it'll be an explosive game, and hopefully Tua's still playing. If he is, I think the Dolphins have enough on defense. They can cover some of the wideouts. Tight end Kelsey will be hard to cover, but I think they'll really give the Kansas City defense some problems.
The Philadelphia Eagles, Super Bowl rematch.
Yeah, I think Super Bowl rematch. I think the Eagles get them this time. Powerful offense for Philadelphia. Not a lot of holes on their team. If they stay healthy on the front and protect Jalen Hurts, Philadelphia will get them.
Love that pick. at the Las Vegas Raiders.
Going Kansas City.
Back-to-back road games, far out.
Green Bay.
At Green Bay.
Oh, they'll be Green Bay. It'll be tough, though. You know, like you said, back-to-back road games is tough, especially West Coast to East Coast. But they'll get it done against Green Bay and a new quarterback.
Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills.
After back-to-back road games, I don't know when their bye week is. I think it's a little bit later. But they'll be a little winded, and I think Buffalo come in guns and blazes and beat them.
New England.
They'll get New England. New England, I don't think, has an answer for Kelsey. They'll try to bang him at the line of scrimmage and do all the things that Belichick likes to do, but at the end of the day, they don't have the safeties or anybody to play with Kelsey and Mahomes.
The Bengals.
The Bengals, that'll be a good one. Bengals got them last year in the regular season. Obviously, the Chiefs got them in the playoffs, but I'm going to go with Kansas City at home. It's at Kansas City, right?
Yep. And week 18 at the Los Angeles Superchargers again.
I would imagine this will be a make or break game for the Chargers to get in the playoffs. And it's at home or at San Diego or LA, sorry. If I envision it correctly, it could be a break for the Chiefs to take a little break, not play their starters possibly. So I'm going to take the Chargers in that one.
That's what you call a look ahead right there. Interesting schedule. Before we get into the first guest, real quick, I'm going to go ahead and shift gears a little bit instead of going to another schedule. But I want your favorite 5, Pop. I want your favorite 5 Super Bowl contenders. Gun to your head. One of these guys have to make the Super Bowl and win. Just give me your top 5 in any order. You can start with 5, go into 1. But I want to hear your top 5 Super Bowl contenders this year. I
usually start with the best quarterback, and it's Patrick Mahomes. We just did their games, and it's very hard to pick against them in any game. But they're not going to go 18-0. They're going to have a few games where they have the turnover. They lose turnover battle and penalties, but they're the number 1 team without a doubt. You gotta beat them. So they're number 1. Number 2, obviously, I go with Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals, and I go Philadelphia number 3. And I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens. I love the battle between Baltimore and Cincinnati in that division. The guy who comes, it's going to be a bloodbath in that division. Pittsburgh's also going to play a lot better, and Cleveland's going to be a lot better, I think, in my opinion. So that's going to be a great division. Playing those type of games, every game is going to make them better when it comes playoff time. So I think Baltimore is a dark horse with Lamar. And then obviously Buffalo with Josh Allen and Diggs and the rest of the crew.
So you got Buffalo Bills 5, 4. You have, did you say the Eagles 4?
I had 4 AFC teams and 1 NFC team. So if I go another NFC team, I got to go with Dallas. You know, I think Dallas with Stephon Gilmore, adding him, and obviously the weapons they have on offense with Dak. I think Dak, if he can control the turnover somehow, with McCarthy calling plays again, might help calm him down a little bit. They obviously have a great chance as well.
Well, this is going to be a perfect segue to our first guest. Dad, you actually went with this guy on a long time ago in an episode that we did with Trent and Matt, Matty Betts anyway. He's on now, the big Eagles fan. Matt, what's going on, buddy?
Yep. Oh, fly.
Hold on. Did I hear that the Dallas Cowboys have a Super Bowl chance? Is that what I just heard?
I did say that, man. I just think that they can cover people. When you can play good defense, when you can rush the passer and cover people, it makes it tough. I mean, as long as Dak can control the interceptions, which is easier said than done, and Pollard getting the ball, I think they'll have a chance. I mean, Cooks and CeeDee Lamb, and I worry about their tight end, their lack of tight end play, but I still think they're pretty dang good, especially on defense. I like to pick good, solid defenses because then I don't have to worry about a quarterback getting hurt or running back getting hurt. If you play good defense like Philadelphia can and Dallas can and San Francisco can, they're going to be in it till the end.
For sure. As an Eagles fan, I hated to see that they ended up going with Pollard and moving on from Zeke because I couldn't believe they didn't do that sooner.
Well, they're 2 different guys, and you still need to have – Pollard's still going to need some help. You don't want to give Pollard the ball 25 times a game. He'll wear out. Having a guy like Zeke and letting them pound the ball and then bringing in Pollard for the RPOs and some of the zone reads and all the fun stuff, it's a great changeup. But having Pollard in there for 60 or every play on offense, that ain't going to happen. They're still going to need a changeup. I like that little Deuce Vaughn guy from Kansas State. He's kind of fun to watch.
Literally Darren Sproles 2.0. He's from Kansas State. looks exactly like him. He moves like him. Everything about him. He's a great third down back. I don't know about you, but he's gonna come in and
Yeah,
do some work.
yeah, he had to
Love it.
block somebody eventually, but yeah, he's excited. I loved him at Kansas State, and hopefully he makes the team. I don't even know what that's going to be like there, but he's another explosive guy on offense for them.
I gotta ask Coach JJ.
Yeah, go ahead.
2 years ago, you asked me, Lamar or Jalen, who would you pick today? I said Lamar. I'm sorry, I said Jalen. I gotta ask you today now, who would you pick as your quarterback going forward as of 2023?
I think
Lamar Jackson
Jalen.
or
I'm with
Jalen
you.
Hurts?
I think Jalen is a more durable guy. I mean, durability and availability is one of the most keys in pro football. Running back, quarterback, receiver, you got to be available. And I love Lamar's skill set. There's no doubt about it. He's an ex-MVP. There's no question about his athletic ability. I love him. He went to Louisville High School. But Jalen just has that power and strength, and his ability to throw the ball accurately is what nobody really could project. And he's been able to do that. So his running threat, his ability to throw the ball accurately and on time, and then short yardage, my God, you can't stop his quarterback sneaks. I mean, there's 3 or 4 third and ones in a game that are critical that the Philadelphia is going to get every time because he squats 600 pounds and you can't stop it. I mean, so I love the way he's playing right now and his ability to do a little bit of everything. Lamar's great. Both of them are great, but I just think durability is key, and Jalen has proven to be healthy. But it's only been year 2 or 3, so he's got a long way to go.
Sure. 100%.
Well, Matt, I appreciate you joining us. In case you guys don't know who Matty Betts is, does a lot of the UFC, he follows the NFL religiously. As you can see, he's a Sheagle fan, kind of his only knock on him. But other than that, he's a great guy, great follow on TikTok and Twitter. Matt, I want you to tell us real quick, what is your favorite team future of the upcoming 2023 NFL season?
Yeah, I'm looking at the Tennessee Titans to win the division. All the money is pouring in on Trevor Lawrence and the Jags. I saw the Jags were like, I think minus 155 to win that division. Titans are sitting at plus 310. So at the end of the day, I'm playing the number here. Like, you put a gun to my head and say, pick the Titans or the Jags. Like, I'm going to go with the Jags, but at the end of the day, they're minus 155. The Titans are plus 310. I mean, at plus 310, you're telling me they only have a 25% chance of winning the division. I would argue that it's 30% or more. And then same thing with the Jags. At minus 155, they have to have over a 62% chance of winning the division. I think there's just too much hype. I think Trevor Lawrence is very, very good, but you're pretty much telling me that they're a minus 155 favorite against 3 other teams solely because of Trevor Lawrence. So I do like the Titans. I think we're forgetting just 2 years ago, they were 12-5. The year before, 11-5, easily winning the division in 2021. They lost 7 games in a row last year off of the injuries. I love their head coach. I love that D-Hop's there now. They can stretch the field, get the run game going, and take some pressure off the run game. So I like the number at plus 310. I think a lot of public money is hammering the Jags here, and I think it'll be a close run down the stretch. So I'm going to take the value on plus 310.
What would you think about that?
I like it. I think the Titans were like 6-3 or something when Tannehill got hurt, and they just went on that huge losing streak at the end of the year. Healthy Tannehill, obviously Derrick Henry. That's what you think about. Then you forget, my God, they added Hopkins, for God's sakes. And I love the receiver that they had from Arkansas last year as a rookie. He played extremely well. I forgot his name. What? Burks.
Yeah.
He's a good player. So, yeah, they're the type of team, if they can control the clock, pound out some yardage, and then take some play action shots with Hop and Burks, they're going to be dangerous. And Vrabel knows how to play defense. He's going to know how to not let Calvin Ridley get 300 yards against them. You know what I mean? He's going to figure out ways to slow the game down, frustrate Trevor Lawrence, make him run the ball, and hopefully create some turnovers. So I don't think you're far-fetched at all. I still think Jacksonville's a better team, but overall, but I think it's a good play.
I want to give you guys a hot take real quick, a steaming hot take. After this season, the Titans will move on from Derrick Henry. Tyjae Spears, I don't know if you've seen this little guy yet in the preseason. He's been playing unbelievable too. I'm excited to watch him coming up in the regular season as a third down back. He did work at Tulane, and I think he carries it along in the NFL. I know King Henry is a generational back, but I think with the cap he's taking on the team, and if you're looking to expand that roster a little bit more, look for Tyjae Spears to overcome that starting running back role. And I do like that play with the Titans, man. There's just too much value. We saw Mike Vrabel keep it in close, like my dad said, 6-3 record early on, and they kind of just like lost it towards the end. But They're always going to be competitive. They're always going to be in games. And I just think minus 155 for the Jaguars is just asinine. I think that's too crazy. I think minus 110, maybe you can intrigue me a little bit, but I'm not paying all that juice to see the Jaguars win that division.
Especially on a few, especially on a,
are out. You know that there's no way.
yeah.
They're way too long of a long shot. So really, it's between the two teams. And if you think the Jaguars are better than the Titans, then you got to play the Jaguars. But the Jaguars have a little bit of a tougher schedule. They play the first place schedule, so maybe that'll be the difference.
Matt, let's go ahead and keep it moving because we got a few minutes left before our next guest comes on. Player prop, anything that you like for the upcoming season, an MVP, a player prop total, what do you got?
So last year I took Jalen Hurts to get the MVP. I got it at 25-1 preseason. He was the front runner the entire season until that injury. Then Patrick Mahomes swept in and won it. And I had the Eagles win. I had the Eagles 20-1 to win the Super Bowl. So Patrick Mahomes cost me both of my future bets last year. So I tell myself, like, hey, Jalen had an incredible season. There's going to be no value on him this year, right? Like 25-1 was great value. He proved a lot of things. Now I go to look at the odds, right? He's plus 1,200. We got guys like Joe Burrow, Josh Allen plus 700, Patrick Mahomes plus 600. Please, somebody tell me why his odds are 2 times bigger than Patrick Mahomes and almost 2 times bigger than Joe Burrow and Josh Allen. So I'm going to play it. I'm going to play Jalen again. I literally told myself I wasn't going to do it. I thought he would be plus 700, plus 800. And next thing you know, I see he's sitting at plus 1,200. I don't get the number. I'm going to play it again. We obviously know he's going to have one of the better teams in the NFL. The defense is going to look good, and I get that could maybe hurt him because maybe he won't put up as big of numbers, but I think he's going to get the ball back even more. And I think he'll still get the rushing touchdowns. He's proven to be durable. So I like it at plus 1,200. And again, I know it's a little bit biased, but again, if this was plus 7 or plus 800, I wouldn't even touch it.
It's really biased, Matt. Don't sugarcoat it. It's really biased. Well, I'm wearing the Eagle hat. I love it. What do you think about Pop?
That's a good pick. I think AFC is so competitive. There's so many good quarterbacks and a good defense. I think somebody from NFC could emerge as a front runner, and Jalen Hurts is a perfect call to me. So yeah, I think it's always between, to me, the quarterbacks. If Lamar can stay healthy and he puts a run together, gets Baltimore back in, I wouldn't mind taking a flyer back on Lamar for a long shot. Obviously, if Aaron Rodgers does anything with the Jets team, they go to the playoffs, he could be a front runner as well. So there are a lot of stories in there. Tua, if he can get the ball to these guys and stay healthy, he could be a shot in the dark at something like that. So there's a lot of possibilities, a lot of great players, a lot of great quarterbacks. But at the end of the day, you got to stay healthy and win a lot of games.
Yeah, I think Rodgers was next at plus 1,600, and then Trevor Lawrence and Dak and Tua was at plus 1,600, and Lamar. So there's like 5 people right after Jalen at 16-1. So again, I just couldn't believe the number was that high. I didn't think it would be double digits.
I think Lamar could be a bad play either, like you're saying with Jalen, just because of the weapons they added around him, a different style of offense. He's still going to get his rushing yards. However, they do play some pretty good defenses in that division and throughout the season. But interesting plays, some interesting takes. Maybe a receiver gets it this year for the first time. Maybe Justin Jefferson or Cooper Kupp's going to get plenty of opportunities there with LA if he's healthy again too.
Well, Matt, I appreciate you hopping on, man. We're going to keep it moving, though. But real quick,
thanks,
before
guys.
you head out, where can people find you? Just give a shout-out to anything you want.
Just Matty Betts, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, MattyBetts.
I appreciate you coming on, brother. Thanks,
guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
See you, Matt.
Awesome. We got another guest in the building. He's across the Twitter universe. Dad, I know you're not very tweet-friendly yet, but this is the Degen Weekly. All right. He's the ultimate degenerate on Twitter. What's up, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me on.
I appreciate you coming on, dude.
Of course.
So what do you got for me this season? I need a team prop. I know you're a big Tampa Bay fan. I can't imagine you having a lot of Tampa picks. But what's your favorite NFL future this year of the season?
Tampa Bay under.
My only Tampa Bay Buccaneers pick would be the alt under 4.5 wins. But there is just – I love Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and some of those linebackers too much. I just if I see them win, I don't want to be upset financially. So Yeah, I won't spend too much time on that. But yeah, I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks to miss the playoffs.
Ooh.
Even money on FanDuel last I saw was plus 100. I mean, I'm going to ask you just point blank. Are you if you were a franchise, would you sign Geno Smith to a $100 million contract?
JJ,
That's a good for me. I mean, how many years did he get? You got like
3.
five. He got 3 years out of it, so that's what 35 million. Oh my god. Well, I mean, what else are you going to get out there? I mean, you saw what he did last season. I know it sounds crazy, but like I can consider him one of the top probably 20 quarterbacks right now in the league, maybe 22 in that range. I mean, you're not going to find anything better. You're going to have to either draft a rookie or go after someone else, but those teams like to hold on to their quarterback. So that one's kind of, but I can see where you're going with it. And but I think I would take that deal.
You would take that.
You laugh. Why are you laughing? It was a good. I thought that was a good answer.
yeah, there's a lot of rhetoric in that answer. But you're right. I think if you would ask me that 3 years ago, if Geno Smith would be getting $100 million, I would have laughed at you. But his production last year really warranted him getting that. He did play pretty good. He did put Seattle on his back and won some games and made some critical throws. He's got some weapons out there. They run the ball. Seattle does have one of the greatest home fields in pro football, which also gives them an edge. Always played pretty good defense. Not last year, they're starting to taper off. That's where I'm most concerned about it. That's why I like your bet the best, because defensively, I think, is where they've lost a little bit of their identity, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you know what? I actually think this team has done a really good job in the draft. I thought that Devin Witherspoon guy, the defensive back from Illinois, was a great selection. I'm big on JSN from Ohio State. I think they've got weapons. I even really liked adding to the running back depth. Another guy, Kenneth Walker, and Zach Charbonnet, guy who was a Michigan transfer at UCLA. But still a lot of questions on the offensive line. The left tackle, they got Charles Cross. He didn't rate out very well. 30th out of 32 left tackles for pressure rate. I just think that this was more of a surprise team by a well-coached, Pete Carroll led team with a 5.5 win total last year that was juiced to the over. And one of my buddies said it very well. He was like, you think Pete Carroll's coming back to coach this team just to win 5 games? You're out of your mind. So I actually played it. And I zigged then, I'm zagging now. And like I said, I'm taking a miss the playoffs. One thing to look at, their schedule. So it gets a lot more difficult this year. And if you look at the travel, they're not doing themselves any favors here with getting an early bye week at week 5. And I say doing themselves favors. It's not their fault. But they open up with the Rams at home, who I think people are sleeping on the Rams a little bit. We know Sean McVay has never had back-to-back winning seasons. Granted, he's got a young coaching career. Then you got to go at Detroit. You come back home, play Carolina. Then you go and play the Giants at home. Then you come back for a bye week. Then you go to Cincinnati. I mean, that's a lot of travel early on for a team. And, I mean, I'm going to say, they're young, but a Geno Smith-led team. He faced the 6th easiest schedule of opposing pass defenses last year. And one nugget that I found that stood out to me, the Seattle Seahawks last year only played 3 outdoor road games. One of them was in Germany against the Bucs. 2 of them, one was in San Francisco, where they scored 7 points. And one was in Kansas City, where they scored 10 points. This season, they play 5 true road games. So the schedule of defenses gets a lot better, a lot more difficult. And the atmosphere and the environment, in my opinion, is going to be a lot more challenging. I think there's something to be said with a guy like Geno, he deserves that Comeback Player of the Year award. The Seahawks deserved, in my opinion, the recognition they got, the wins they got. Some people say it was a fluke. I don't think it was a fluke. I just think they caught a lot of teams sleeping on him. But now that's not the case. And I think a lot of things change when you have expectations. And nothing against Geno specifically, but we've seen it with all sports. When a guy gets paid, regression tends to happen. Well, it didn't even take for him to get paid. Regression actually started to happen towards the back half of the season last year with the efficiency and the production from Geno Smith at quarterback. So they're going to rely a lot on their running game. I get that. They've got weapons at receiver. I'm really not trusting the offensive line too much. And like Mr. Gruden said, I'm not really sold on their defense either. So I didn't know how to play their win total because the Cardinals are going to be 2 easy wins. And just in case the Rams end up not being that good, and that could be another 2 wins. So I figured I'm just going to play it to miss the playoffs because there are some other teams in the NFC. Even though it's a weak conference, I do think there are enough teams. They're not going to win the division. The Niners are going to win the division. I think there's enough teams that'll bump them ahead of them to get them out of the playoff hunt.
They do have the NFC East, which is, probably one of the better divisions, and the AFC North, which is going to be brutal. That's going to be a very tough division as well. So that's a good call.
And again, that early bye week and this stretch of games is awful for them. At home against the Niners, then in Dallas, then the Niners again in San Francisco, then coming back home to play the Eagles. I just don't really, again, the way their schedule is set up, I think is very, very difficult for them. It's a lot of travel. And then playing in Baltimore right after playing the Browns at home. JJ, I don't know where you stand on the Browns, but I think we can expect them a much more, competent, challenging Browns team. So it's a really, really tough schedule. I don't think they're going to have the success this year that they had last year.
When you talk about the Browns, I always look at the number because I thought it was so strange that they were at 9.5 wins this year, especially after the season that they had last year. 9.5 is so high for a team that kind of faltered last season, and seeing that is kind of eye-opening for sure. Not to take up any more time, do you have a player prop of the future that you like?
I do, yeah. And I'm not a huge player prop guy, but I do have some fun with these. I'm pretty high on the Bills this year. I think we're going to get a nice bounce-back season from them and from Josh Allen. So I was thinking about playing one of his weapons, either James Cook or Gabe Davis, not Stephon Diggs. I mean, I don't know, whether to believe these kind of rumors going around with Buffalo that he's unhappy there and he may want to be out, but it's not that far-fetched to think that might be the case. I mean, he did that with Minnesota. So I'm going to stay away from Stephon. Ultimately, I chose to go with Gabe Davis. I like Gabe Davis over his receiving yards, which are 725.5, juice to the over at -120. I think he's going to have a big breakout season. Like I said, I think it starts with Josh Allen. I certainly don't love anything Bills offense as much without Brian Daboll in there. I think we saw that they really missed him with Ken Dorsey calling plays now. But I do think they'll improve. I think the passing game is going to be strong. And Gabe Davis is a guy where in the past 2 years, his receptions have gone from 35 to 48. He even missed a game last season. He got over this number. So I'm not saying it's an easy play by any means, but I am more than willing to invest in Gabe Davis this season.
Yeah, I like Gabe Davis.
Throw $1 on Dalton Kincaid too.
I love Dalton Kincaid. And actually, why? You don't like Dalton Kincaid?
I love Dalton Kincaid. Yeah, I
absolutely love him.
He's
And if anything, I just think that adds a more task to the defense and spreads things out and, maybe isolates Gabe Davis a little bit more. Yeah, huge Dalton Kincaid fan because I love Kyle Whittingham and Utah.
I like Gabe Davis's play too, man, because he's on a contract here, I believe, this season. So look for him to get the rock a little bit more and try to get him paid this offseason. So I love looking at free agents the following year and looking for them to show out and get their money. DGen, I appreciate you coming on. Where can people find you?
At the DGen Weekly on Twitter. I got a newsletter. I do a live stream every day, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Review the entire board. JJ, thanks for having me on, man.
I appreciate you coming on, brother.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Next guest, she is a feisty one. She has her own show, the Steffi Small Show. Big Giant fan. Stephanie, how are you?
Good. How are you both?
I'm doing
Good.
well.
Good.
I'm doing well. Where are we at with the Giants this year? What do you think about them?
I think that people are still downplaying them a little bit. They're not going to take some, massive drop off from where they were last year. I like their win total over quite a bit, actually. I don't bet on my own team outside of some player props because I'm a little bit superstitious. But I think what Daboll and Kafka are doing, the leaps that Daniel Jones, I think that he's going to take. My player prop that we'll talk about at some point is revolves around him. I had to be a little bit of a homer at some point. I knew Matt was going to come in here with some Eagles garbage. So I'll, bring it back down to earth a little bit. But I feel good about the Giants. I see their floor at 8 wins. We'll see how it goes.
I love the Giants, and I think people are really sleeping on them. I don't know why they're getting so much hate, not hate, but just so many people are just sleeping on them. They think that they're just going to fall back down to earth and become the same old Giant team that they were. But I really think that they're explosive on offense, and I think that they're going to get the job done. I love their win total.
Is their
Over
defense
this
good
year.
enough though? I just
That's
who
a
do they have on defense? Who are their corners? They got 2 rookie corners.
They do. Yeah. It's going to get kind of gross in the defense. You'll see what it's going to come down to what Wink can make out of it. I'm a little bit worried about the O-line.
Wink's a great defensive coordinator. I'll give him that, but it does help to have somebody that can cover. So hopefully those rookies will step up and
Yeah.
play.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the biggest concern I have for the Giants. They're playing Jalen Hurts twice and Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and all these guys. They're going to have to cover and get to the quarterback. I just don't see anybody that can do that from a consistent basis.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that O-line depth is a little bit weak too. It's a little bit concerning. I think there's
Other than the defense and the O-line depth, you feel like they're going to be pretty good?
I think so. Yeah. I think all right. Listen. It can't be that bad. It's not any worse than the defense last year. So they,
I do love Daniel Jones, and Darren Waller to me is a huge game-changing type tight end. He can get you on the outside, on the inside. He's a matchup nightmare for the defense. He'll make Daniel Jones's game a lot easier, which will help the receivers out. And obviously, it'll help out Saquon even more. So you're right. I think offensively they have the makings to be pretty good. I just worry about their defense.
Yeah.
I spent too much time on the Giants. I don't know if that was one of your team futures of the play that you like the most. Let me hear your team future. What's your favorite?
This is one that a lot of people don't like. I got it when it opened at plus money because there was a little bit of Tom Brady insurance baked in there, but I like the Tampa Bay under 6.5 wins. I'm not ready to put my eggs in either the Baker or Trask basket. I don't think that Tampa Bay totally wants to do that yet. They lost a lot of talent too on the O-line. You lost Shaq Mason. Donovan Smith is gone. They'll move Tristan over, who he should play really well, moved over. But even their O-line was like 25th in pass block win rate last year. And we know Baker under pressure, it's not really pretty at all. They won 8 games. So I like them to go under this number. It's good. I think they're looking more at like 5-6 wins. They got to play the Bills, the 49ers, the Eagles, and their division got, it's not a great division, but it definitely got better. It definitely got stronger than it was last year.
Yeah. Atlanta's going to be better for sure. Saints will be a lot better with Derek Carr. I agree.
Nice.
Yeah, I think that win total is a lock at the under. I think everyone's going to be on that, or a lot of people are already on it. We just heard the DGen Weekly come on and say he likes the alternate under 4.5 wins. I think that's a good one too.
Yeah.
I just wonder how. I think we talked about last week, Pop. It was the Mike Evans prop, like over under 960 yards, I believe it was 959.5 yards. He's hit 1,000 yards almost every single season. I think actually every season he's hit 1,000 yards, and now he's at that 960 mark. I mean, does the quarterback play really influence the way he's his production, or is it going to kind of, or can he still get there because he's that type of player?
No, the quarterback play makes a huge deal. If you have questions at the quarterback position, then you should have questions at the receiver position because they're not going to get the opportunities that they would normally get with an experienced quality quarterback. So I would definitely take I wouldn't take any over at any receiver prop for the Buccaneers right now. No chance. The only chance you have is if they get down early in games and they're forced to throw it a lot, then you'll get some garbage yards at the end of games, which could happen. But it's going to be a struggle for that entire offense, in my opinion.
I don't even know who their running back is right now. Is it still
Rashad White?
Rashad White?
He's good.
Yeah.
I mean, they have some players now. I mean, every NFL team has some players. They're capable of winning a lot of games. But when you have quarterback issues, it makes it very difficult. You're asking a guy who's sitting in a chair right now because of quarterback issues. It's very difficult to win and keep your job if you don't have the right guy at the quarterback position.
I wonder if you see some vets start getting pissed off and that locker room starts to get a little tense too, because you have Baker, Trask in there, and these guys are used to having very successful seasons as far as numbers go. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, it will be. And who knows? Maybe Baker will have the year of his life. You never know. Well,
that'd be something.
Maybe.
Maybe.
All right, let's get into a player prop, Steph. Who do you like as a player prop this season? I think you mentioned Daniel Jones. Would love to hear your take on that.
Yeah, I will bring up Daniel Jones. I've been giving out the Waller over 4.5 touchdowns a lot, but I think it's fair to still take the Daniel Jones over 17.5 passing touchdowns. I think it's at -112. I got it at 16.5 probably a month ago. I'm not implying that he takes this massive leap because I think everyone gets a little excited and they want this Josh Allen type leap. And I don't know that that's going to come, but he did throw for 15 passing touchdowns in 2022. coming off career best QBR, second lowest interception rate. I think people forget that he threw 24 touchdowns his rookie year, like in 12 games. What Debo and Kafka are doing with that system is beautiful. I try not to get too excited, obviously, but giving him weapons, outside of Saquon, probably the best player that he's thrown the ball to. You can argue with me a little bit, is Golden Tate. And it wasn't exactly prime Golden Tate. It's, not the Golden Tate that we think of when we think of Golden Tate. So Giants have been horrible in the red zone for years, but, they went from 32nd in red zone touchdowns to 11 the second that Dable steps in here. They had the fourth best goal line team last year. So I think Daniel Jones goes over this number. I'm not saying he's going to throw 25 touchdowns, but I think he can get to 20.
Bob, out of all the quarterbacks in the league right now, Daniel Jones, where would you put him out of 32 quarterbacks, starting quarterbacks?
Off the top of my head, I think he's probably top 12. I would think top 13, top 12, 13, probably. I mean, you got to like Daniel because his progression, he's gotten better every year, right? I mean, this is a very tough position to play. Plus, he's athletic. Nobody gives him the, everybody thinks athletic quarterbacks. You don't think of Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is very athletic, and he hurts you bad with his legs. And that's a great part of his game. So he's got that. He can hurt you with his legs, and now he's more accurate. He's getting more confident. He's seeing things. Dayball's done a great job with him. Kafka, they're going to have a great scheme for him, easy completions for him. He can get the ball down the field. I love where he's at, and I think he's got the ability to continue to get better and better. He's still a young kid.
Yeah.
So with the addition of Darren Waller, what does that do for that offense? I mean, how does that expand things for him and as a player?
I don't think people really understand the value of a tight end. I know Patrick Mahomes is a great player, and he'd probably be good without Kelsey, but Kelsey and Mahomes, those two guys are like, to me, MVP 1 and MVP 1A.
Mm-hmm.
Tight end matchups on the interior, if you can read zones, the size that you have, you're so quarterback friendly. The option routes that you run. Then you get them split outside. You get a one-on-one against a safety or a linebacker. They can't cover them. It's almost impossible. It's hard to double them. You can't double tight ends. It's very difficult to do that. Maybe in the red zone you can bring a safety out, but then you got nobody in the middle field. And Barkley's one-on-one against a linebacker. You can't really do that either. So they're very quarterback friendly. You can utilize them out in space. You get coverage tells for the quarterback. Okay, is that a linebacker out there? I know it's man. Safety's out there. I know it's man. It's a corner's out there. I know it's zone. So it's huge benefit. And then if you do have a corner out there like he had yesterday or the preseason game, he beat him on a slant, just swapped them by, gained him 8 on a slant route. He can beat corners. He can beat linebackers. He can beat safeties. And you get coverage tells, and it's excellent for the quarterback pre-snap.
Can't wait.
Sounds like to me that the Giants offense only improved, man. I don't know about you guys. I don't know why people are sleeping then. With that being said, Steph, where can people find you real quick?
They can find me at Stephanie Smalls with 3 L's on Twitter, my own YouTube channel, and stay tuned for the season. Thanks for having me on.
Steph, thanks for joining. I really appreciate it. Always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Bye.
All right, we got the CEO of Snapback Sports, Jack Settleman. What's up, brother? How you been?
What's up, fellas? How we doing?
Good.
You're doing good. Hey, man, I've seen a lot of basketball posts lately. You still balling?
I am. I actually played in a tournament this weekend. We went 4-0 first weekend. So we're the 1 seed right now. We got more games this weekend. And then Labor Day weekend, we got a little playoff action.
All right. Before we get into the picks, I just want to hear this. If you had to make a 5-on-5 pickup team with only NFL players, you're the starting point guard, who are you putting around you?
Oof. I guess some of those Alabama guys, we always saw the clips of them hooping at school. I don't know the NFL guys well enough to come up with a 5, but just for like fun, who could I give you? I mean, Lamar Jackson would be fun to play with. I know that some of the tight ends are obviously basketball players. So give me a Ravens squad. I'll take Lamar, Marlon. I'll take Mark Andrews, and maybe a little point guard to build up the backcourt. We could go someone small like J.K. Dobbins.
Zay Flowers.
Zay Flowers, there you go.
No one can stay in front of his crossover, that's for sure.
Real quick before, Pop, who would you take on your 5-on-5 basketball team with only NFL players currently playing?
I have no idea who can play basketball.
Well, again,
AJ Green, I saw him play basketball. He was pretty good, but he's no longer in the league. Mahomes, I think, is pretty dang good. From what I hear he can bomb it, shoot from long range. I'm sure Waller's pretty good. I take the tight end for the Colts. What's his name? He played for
Cox.
Yeah, Bo Alley Cox. He played at Virginia
TCU.
Commonwealth. Yeah,
There you
definitely
go.
taking that big son of a gun. I'll take an intimidator. I'll take Deron Payne in the middle just to beat everybody up.
Love it. Love it. All right, cool. I won't dwell on this subject too much. Jack, I appreciate you coming on again, man. Looking at the NFL props this season, what is your favorite team future coming up this year?
My favorite one is the Saints to win the NFC South. I believe you can still get it at plus money today. They're minus 180 to make the playoffs in general. The NFC is pretty weak, so if you want to lay the juice and you really think they could sneak in at 9-8 and someone else is winning that division, feel free. But in my opinion, and I'm excited to talk to you guys to get some feedback on this, the way I'm evaluating season-long futures is I'm betting on two things. One is the quarterback, and two, I'm betting on the coaching staff. And to me, the Saints just have by far the best combination of the two. Derek Carr, even if you don't think he's a superstar quarterback, he's the best quarterback in that division, especially this season. Young's a rookie, and they've got some younger guys in that division as well. And then from the coaching staff perspective, I'm a little fearful at times of the Saints coaching staff, but there's not a ton of other competition in that division that's making me super scared. So I like the Saints to win the division. I think I got it at plus 135. Might be down a little now, but what do you guys think? Is that a good wager?
Yeah, I think you should look at defenses as well. Defense, I take away the coaches. You can look at the coaches a little bit, not to downplay the coaches because I used to be one. But look at the defense, their pass rush and their ability to cover. And the Saints do have that ability to rush the passer. And they got Lattimore, so they can cover a little bit. So I do like the Saints as far as if their offense, you got to figure offense might struggle from time to time. If they do, can the defense keep them in games? And the Saints defense definitely can do that.
Is there anyone in the division that you think is a threat to win it? Because the Bucs, to me, I think they're actually going to have the worst record in the league, even worse so than Arizona. And then you've got obviously the Panthers with the rookie quarterback, and then that fourth squad.
Yeah, Atlanta. I think Atlanta's probably the biggest threat just because I think the way they're building their team, they have the two tight ends now. They have the backs. They're going to try to pound you in submission. They got a good young receiver. The quarterback's going to struggle, but he's going to get to the play action. Very similar to the way they use Derrick Henry at Tennessee. Obviously, the same head coach was a coordinator at Tennessee. They're going to try that same remedy. Hand the ball off, play action shots, and win the time of possession, win the turnover battle, and try to win a lot of close games late.
I think one of the most interesting things that you said, Jack, and I didn't realize it, was the Saints were minus 180 to make the playoffs, and they're plus money to win the division. And we talked about the Seattle Seahawks earlier and these teams probably not making the playoffs or who they would take in the place of the playoffs or whatever. But that just seems to me like there's another team coming from the NFC South. Maybe the Saints do win the division, but then it also points to me that the Falcons, maybe the Panthers, they could end up making a run for the playoffs too. My opinion, the Falcons, because I think they're a good football team. I think Arthur Smith is going to go back to his style of Tennessee football with Bijan Robinson. He's got Drake London. He's got all those guys. We talked about how good the Falcons could be. I actually got Arthur Smith to win Coach of the Year this year, thinking that if he wins the division, gets 10 games, that's a great value play at plus 1,600. But that's something that's really eye-opening to me. So I do like the Saints play. I think that's a good pick. I think their defense is really good. Derek Carr is a stud. I think he's got just a bad rap against him, but I think he does work with Michael Thomas and Chris Olave. I think that's a good play.
Who's Derek Carr got a bad rap?
I mean, ever since he was at Oakland or Las Vegas, man, people just doesn't think that he can win. You don't see that anywhere. I don't think he can win. He hasn't really done anything in the playoffs. Hasn't gone anywhere. He's got a bad rap.
He does. Okay, I never heard that, but okay.
No, that's okay. It's all right. You like him to win the passing yard leader this year, right? As a flyer.
That's a flyer. Yeah, they're gonna let it rip now. Kamara's out for the first 4 weeks, I think, 5 weeks, so they're gonna launch it.
Love it.
That's what he does.
Player prop wise, Jack, what are you looking at for a player prop this season? You got anything?
Off the top of my head, I'm trying to think what I've already posted and played so far. A couple things I like. I like Aaron Rodgers under interceptions. Last year was the only year in the past decade that he threw more than 9. His line for the year is 8.5. I think that they're going to use him as, a distributor of the football, but that was an outsized reaction to last season. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, the only thing he does is protect the football. That's what makes him so great, is the fact that if the throw is not there, the ball's going out of bounds because he knows, give me 2 more throws and I'll beat your defense. So I like Rodgers under. I'm big on Russell Wilson's bounce back season. I think Sean Payton's going to be great for him, but I believe he's going to get it done through the ground. So Russell Wilson, over 225 rushing yards in every season in his career. I think just scramble-wise, he'll be able to get out of the pocket and pick up some chunk yards. I expect him to play the full season. He's really good at protecting himself. And last year he got smashed, and he still was able to make it virtually through the whole year. So those are the 2 that really come to mind. And then, we talked about Chris Olave. Fantasy football, props, everything. That is the wide receiver, I think, this year that makes the biggest jump. Everyone wants to fall in love with Garrett Wilson. I'm actually all in love with Chris Olave. So those are kind of the guys I'm locked in on so far.
I'm a big Chris Olave guy this year too. Big Chris Olave guy. It scares me because I think a lot of people aren't Chris Olave, which scares me a little bit, but I think he gets the job done. Anyway, Jack, I appreciate you coming on, man. Thanks a lot for coming on and giving us some future bets. Where can people find you?
Yeah, at Jack Settleman on all platforms. And I'll leave you guys with one last thing. As a Ravens fan, I'm in Baltimore right now too, because we're filming our podcast with Marlon Humphrey tomorrow. I'm on the Commanders tonight. I know you're saying don't fade the win streak, but as someone who has unfortunately watched 24 straight preseason games for the Ravens, this is by far the worst team we are ever putting out. Not even Tyler Huntley's playing for the Ravens. The Ravens are already smashed at depth at corner. So now you've got the bad depth who's not even playing. They're playing the depth of the depth of the depth. I think this is finally the night that the Commanders – I mean, look, the Commanders are the team right now that they're all vibes. They're trying to change, the face of that franchise, the energy around it. It's a local rivalry. So if they can break this streak, as sad as it may sound, I actually think they're going to go for it. So I'm on Commanders at plus money.
Huh. Love it. Thanks, Jack, for joining us. Do you want to tell people where they can find you?
Yeah, just at Jack Settleman, and then Punchline Podcast, our new show. Check it out.
Love it, man. I appreciate you coming on, man. Thanks a lot.
See ya.
Hey, Pop, when you were coaching the Redskins, did you ever beat Jim Harbaugh in the preseason? I know you played him almost every year, right?
Yeah, I think we beat him once. Yeah.
There you go. In the beginning, there you go. Awesome. We got another guy coming on, Crab Bets. He's a guy that is a part of the Book It community. What's is going on,
gents? How we doing, Coach? How's it going? Look, I hate to bring up the Redskins again, but I'm a lifelong fan. Wanted to say you are a GOAT, a legend. I appreciate you making my life better as a kid growing up watching the team. You're a beast. All right, let's just get that out of the way. Great meeting you.
Don't hear that very often.
You don't? I don't care.
Blush. I mean, I've never seen him blush ever.
You're my guy. Like, this is unbelievable for me to be able to do this. JJ, you're a beast too. I appreciate you gents having me on. But I feel like we should be listening to the guy in the middle. Tell us about all his plays. He's the knowledgeable one, JJ. What are we doing over here?
Well, I don't want him to talk too much because he was literally on opposite of everything I gave out in the last 2 shows. So it made
well,
me
he's a
look
smart
really
man.
bad.
Yeah.
So I don't want to use too much of him. You know what I mean?
He's a smart man. I like where his head's at.
Yeah. So what's going on, man? What you got for me? Give me a future, your favorite team future of the upcoming season.
Yeah, we'll stay in the NFC East, okay? And I definitely want some thoughts on this, but I want to take the Cowboys, and I'm a Commanders fan. I'm one of the few left. I want to take the Cowboys to win the NFC East, okay? We know the bit with the NFC East, a different team wins it every single year, very even. These teams beat the heck out of each other. Whenever they play, they almost always split. That's just how it goes. But look, recency bias is a huge thing, not only just in sports, but mainly in betting. We just saw the Eagles and Jalen Hurts go on an absolute tear. He cut down the interceptions, passed great. His accuracy numbers were unbelievable after a sketchy rookie year. He was dialed. Everything went perfect for the Eagles last season. And what are you hearing going into this year? It's that the Eagles have it locked up. There's no other team that's going to be even close. If anybody knows that division, and I feel like you gentlemen should with me, it's not that easy. It's never that easy in the NFC East. It's always a different team. It's always what you don't always expect. I think it's going to be the Cowboys when everyone's hopping off the Cowboys train. And I want to throw up just saying this out loud because I hate them. But I do think they win this freaking division this season. I don't see a world where, Dak Prescott doesn't cut down the interceptions. He said already on record he's not going to throw 10. We'll see about that, but I think he does cut down the interceptions. And look, the Eagles have the hardest schedule, one of the hardest schedules in football, definitely the hardest schedule in that division. I think that they honestly take a step back this year. I wouldn't be surprised if some of these great coaches who now have months to kind of look at film and see how they can slow down Hurts, those guys get paid a lot of money to figure out this shit in the offseason. I feel like he's going to take a step back. I think the Eagles do as well. My Commanders, I don't think we're there yet. The Giants are good, but I don't really see them winning the division. I think it's going to be the Cowboys when everybody's hopping off them this year when they were on them last year. And the Eagles, the public play, the public darling after making the Super Bowl last year. I'd like to see lightning strike twice in a row. I think similar to what we're seeing with the Phillies this year in baseball, we're going to get with the Eagles. They'll be good, but I don't even think they're going to make the playoffs. I'm sprinkling at them plus 400 to miss the playoffs. That's taking this even a step further. But I'm going with the Cowboys to win the NFC East. It's disgusting. Everyone was on them last year. I hate saying it myself. I know you guys hate listening to it too. But when everyone's hopping off the Cowboys train and Dak has spent the entire offseason cutting down his mistakes, I hate to say it, but I'm buying back in, and it doesn't hurt that Zeke's gone too. So now I don't have to hate them as much. Give me the freaking Cowboys to win the division. And this is coming from a Manders fan. I need thoughts.
Did you drink 3 cups of coffee before the show?
I'm just very, very, very excited, Coach. I'm very
That's
excited.
awesome. I love your energy, but I agree. We just had a segment before this, and other than the Eagles, I picked the Cowboys, one of the teams from the NFC that could go to the Super Bowl, and then the 49ers, whatever. I think the Cowboys are loaded. I think addition of Gilmore is huge for them. The ability to cover people, to give more time for Parsons and Lawrence to get home and get to the quarterback. You better be able to run the ball against the Cowboys, because if not, it's going to be a long day for your quarterback, because he's going to get hit a lot and hit often. So I do like your pick. It's just like you said, it's all up to Dak Prescott. You got to eliminate them turnovers, but you still have to play within yourself. You still have to be aggressive. You can't just go to checkdowns afraid to throw interceptions. You still got to play the game like he knows how to play. Had some unfortunate turnovers, tip balls, which are BS, which hurt his stats. But I'm with you. I just think they need the tight ends to emerge. Ferguson or Shoemaker, those guys have to emerge and become a good safety net for him, other than trying to rip the ball outside to Lamb and Gallup and those guys.
I think Schultz leaving is a bigger problem than people think. I agree with you on that, right? Somebody needs to step up at tight end for them.
Yeah,
100%.
Here's a take I was kind of thinking about, while we were talking about the NFC East and everything. We always hear how competitive that division is, whether it be the NFC least or how good it was last year with Jalen Hurts and Philadelphia Eagles and the Cowboys and all of them. This one's kind of intriguing. I think it kind of takes a step back, and not by what you think it is, like not the NFC least, but I think these teams are just going to beat up on each other so much where the winning team in this division probably will be only a 10-win team. I think that the Giants are good enough to steal a couple wins from these two teams. I think the Eagles will split against the Cowboys, and then the Cowboys will split against the Eagles. And that's what I'm worried about. I think the Cowboys at best is a 10-win team. And what is it, 9.5?
It is it's them to make the playoffs. It's them to win the NFC East at plus 180. So not only is it, fading the Eagles after everyone's on them, but it's also plus money.
Yeah, that's a good one. But I feel like the NFC East is just going to be a bloodbath this year. It's going to be very competitive. I think some teams outside the NFC East make the playoffs more. I think you got to hope that the Cowboys win the division in order for them to get in, because I can see a 9-8 Eagles team or a 10.
I can see 3 teams from NFC East making it personally.
See, I'm with Coach. I think they're all going to be good. I think they will all beat up on each other, and you're probably going to get some teams beating others that you don't expect. But I still think that division is absolutely loaded this year.
If you could go 3 or 4-2 in that division, man, you're going to be out there pretty good. And I think that's what they can do. 4-2 would be a realistic number for them in that division. Then they can take care of other people. But you look at the NFC South, there's going to be one team from there that makes it, right? I mean, NFC North, you're looking at Detroit or Minnesota, probably. If Green Bay, if they can come up with a quarterback, maybe. But NFC West, I don't see.
The NFC is weak, right? Yeah. The NFC is a little weaker than the AFC.
That's what I'm saying. So I think there can be 2 or 3 teams from the East that make it.
The NFC East, though, they have to play against the AFC East. I mean, they got to play against the Bills, the Patriots. I mean, the Patriots not so much, but the Dolphins, the Jets could be challenging. And also
that's why I want to fade the Eagles, though.
Chiefs. Huh?
Eagles got to play all those first place teams from last year, right?
Yeah, and they
Eagles
also
have a
play the Chiefs,
tough
you know,
schedule.
as that random game. So I mean, there's some different, you know, I think it's gonna be tough. I think it's gonna be a lot tougher than people think, and I think it's gonna be very competitive. They are good football teams. I think 3 of those teams can easily make the playoffs and do well and make a little bit of a run.
One of the
But
first place
just
teams was the Buccaneers, though.
Oh,
yeah.
in that division, I mean, good luck picking who's winning that division. You might as well throw darts with your eyes closed, literally.
Yeah, love it. Krabs, what is a favorite player prop that you have coming up in the season?
Yeah, it kind of goes hand in hand with the Cowboys to win the NFC East at plus 180 that I just pitched. Jalen Hurts more than 8.5 interceptions this season. I think Jalen Hurts takes a step back with his passing accuracy. Everyone's acting like he just morphed into Tom Brady after one good year. I'd like to see it again. I'd like to see it again against the best defenses in the NFL, playing up against some of the best coaches who have had months to prepare for the Eagles. Now a team that has their target on their back going into the season after making the Super Bowl out of nowhere last year. You don't think these guys are going to figure out some way to slow down Jalen Hurts after the masterclass he just put on tape last year? I believe they will. That's why they get paid the big bucks, right, Coach? 100%.
Yeah,
I would fade.
that's a great bet. I mean, 8.5 is his number.
8.5 interceptions. Look, he had 6 last year.
I mean, if you play 17 games and throw the ball 30 times a game, I mean, surely. I mean, if you throw 10, 11, 12, that's not that bad. I mean, 8.5, I mean, that's a hard number to get under, I'm thinking.
And if I think that they're not going to be as good as people think they are, right? They're going to be passing a lot late in games, coming back, right? A lot of interceptions, a lot of opportunities there. And all the defenses in that division are stacked.
Maybe a couple Hail Marys at the end of a half get picked off.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Add that one to the card. Yeah, count it.
I've lost too many bets like that when I take under a half an interception for a game and someone throws up a Hail Mary at the end of the half and they intercept it. I'm like, God.
That should void. It really should.
Oh,
Not for
that
this,
should.
It should count for this. It should.
That's like hitting up FanDuel or BetJack on Twitter saying, "Can I please have my money back, please?"
Yeah, let me get a handout. They love that.
Yeah,
right?
let me get a handout, please. Krabs, appreciate you coming on, man. Where can people find you?
Yeah, at Krabs with a K _bets on Twitter and all social medias. Gentlemen, it was a pleasure coming on here talking with you. Can I get one question? Can I get one question for Coach? Okay.
Yeah.
Favorite player you coached in DC?
Oh my God. Personality or just
personality. Your favorite player to coach, not the best player, but your favorite player to coach, personality.
Oh man, that's tough. You know, I go to the quarterbacks. You know, I think Kirk was such a detail-oriented guy. I love Colt McCoy, his competitive nature. Trent Williams, I loved having him in there in the building. Brandon Sheriff was awesome. Defensively, we had some Payne, Allen. Those guys are awesome. Yeah, Terry McLaurin is one of the best people I've ever coached. He's unbelievable human. I love that dude. But there's so many good ones and different ones. Deshaun Jackson was fun to coach. Jordan Reed was fun to coach. Yeah. Jameson Crowder was incredible. I was fortunate to have a lot of good ones. I had some guys I didn't really like too much, obviously, that I had to keep, but that's part of the business. But overall, I feel like I left the team better than when I got it.
100%, Coach. And look, that coaching tree everyone talks about, your coaching tree with all these young bucks coming out of it.
I don't get any credit for those guys, man.
Yeah, not
You
enough
should
people
get
give
credit.
them
You should get. That's your tree. That's your tree, Coach. That's
Yeah.
your. All right. One more question. Who's your favorite young coach to come out of your tree? Who you think is going to be the best? Who's going to win the next Super Bowl? I know McVay already got one, but who's next? You had like 10 young stud coaches come out of your coaching tree. Nobody talks about it for a second. It's
I'd
ridiculous.
like to say Kevin, but I don't think their defense is good enough. They're too far away on defense. They're going to be more aggressive, which will put more pressure on their corners, but I just don't think they're there yet defensively. I love Kirk and all that stuff.
Maybe Miami if everything goes right and Tua stays healthy.
I didn't have him. I didn't have LaFleur. I didn't have what's his name. He wasn't with me. The head coach
He wasn't with you? Okay.
McDaniel.
No,
McDaniel? Okay.
no.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I think those two guys.
Kevin O'Connell's an
Sean and
offensive
Kevin, I have a
genius.
couple coordinators in the league that are pretty good. Shane over at Seattle is pretty good. They have a chance in a couple years maybe. Dave Ragone, Atlanta. He's a coordinator for Atlanta. They're a couple years away. But probably right now, it'll probably just be Sean again because they still have Stafford and Cooper Kupp and Aaron Donald. They're pretty good.
100%. Coach, you made my night talking with you. I really appreciate it. Have a great night. JJ, thanks for having me on, my man.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, man.
Got a couple more. Couple more. We're gonna go ahead and introduce the coffee man himself, Peter Apple. He's in the back right now from Just Baseball Fans, Not Gambling Advice, and Just Gridiron Fans. Peter, what's going on, brother?
Gentlemen, what's going on? And yeah, my future, especially you, Coach, I don't think you're going to like it, especially after hearing that the NFC East is just going to keep fighting with each other. I have one team that I don't think is going to put up much of a fight.
All right, let's go ahead and get right into it. Let's just jump in. Don't put us in the suspense mode. You just like told me guys going. Let's go.
Absolutely. Well, great to talk to you guys. Thank you definitely for having me on. This is a treat. Love talking football, especially with, of course, you, Coach, and JJ. We talked all last season.
Yeah, way to put me on the back burner there.
Where's that hat from? What's that hat?
It's Seattle Mariners. We got it at the All-Star game.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm a baseball guy first, but I got to say I love betting on the NFL more than MLB. MLB is my sport. Like, it's just my favorite sport. I run the podcast stuff, but the NFL is where I love to put the money.
Who's winning the World Series?
Who's winning the World Series this year? Well, I have tickets on the Braves, and I have tickets on the Mariners. The Braves tickets, of course, look good. The Mariners are still sneaky, but that's the great part about this season. There's no right answer. I could give you a pitch for 10 of the 30 teams, and it would all sound great, but I'm going to go with the Mariners. Why not? I'm wearing the hat.
Oh,
There you go.
I like it.
Um,
you go.
So I'm taking the Commanders under 6.5 wins for 3.6 units, which is a big bet for me. And then I'm also taking the Commanders to have the worst record in the NFL plus 1,000.
Woo.
So I'll tell you why I'm not very high on the Commanders. So we first look at coaching, right? We have Ron Rivera, who I thought had a Cinderella run there with Cam Newton. But ever since then, I think he's gotten a lot of, people still think that he's a good coach when, if you look at his track record beyond Cam Newton, I don't think it's very good. And then you look at who they brought as the offensive coordinator, Eric Bieniemy. Eric Bieniemy, from everything I read, and correct me if I'm wrong, Coach, I don't know how good he is at his job. I'm willing to bet against him in year one in a new system. He had Patrick Mahomes, and they refilled that job with Matt Nagy. And I think the lateral move from the Kansas City Chiefs to the Washington Commanders is a bit telling. So I look at the coaching staff, and I'm not very high on them, to say it lightly. Then I look at the offense, right? Taylor Heineke was a spark plug for them last year. He's gone. And then also on top of it, Rivera, Bieniemy, there have been some disagreements there, which I'm sure you've seen in the media already. And they've decided to start with Sam Howell. Now, Sam Howell, I think the writing was on the wall for him, right? We see teams reach for quarterbacks all the time, but a guy who was a supposed first rounder out of North Carolina drops to the 5th round. I think the writing is on the wall for him already. And he's not going to have much help. We talk about the offensive line. They were ranked 24th. That's what they were graded out by as PFF last year. What did they do to help? They added the 59th graded tackle by PFF and Andrew Wiley. Let's see how the offensive line goes this year. Then we look at the weapons on the outside. Love Scary Terry. You were just talking about him. Jahan Dotson, I think, is an exciting spark plug. And then you have that gadget guy in Curtis Samuel. Does that sound like a great receiving core? How are they going to get the ball with a bad offensive line and a bad quarterback? Then I look at the running back room. I think Brian Robinson Jr. is talented. He's projected 800 yards this year. Is that the bell cow? I don't think so. And correct me if I'm wrong. We'll see. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think they like Antonio Gibson. There's got to be something there. They don't play him, then they play him, and then they put him in weird spots.
It is a weird thing with Antonio Gibson. He
Then
should
we
be
look at-
one of the better third down backs in the league.
That's what I'm
great.
saying.
He was an ex-receiver at Memphis, for God's sakes. Now they're going to say that he's definitely the third down guy this year. Why wasn't he last year? Maybe he's more of the I think he can do it all. He can run between the tackles. He's got power. He's got speed. He's got hands. There's something. You're right. There must be something with him that is not right. I just don't know. I've never coached him, so I don't know.
He fumbles the ball too much.
Oh, that might be it.
Ball way too much last year.
I don't
Okay,
think he
so
fumbled
that's-
last year, 2 years ago.
That's who
Just
we
2
got
years
on
ago, I still
offense.
think he fumbles.
Yep.
And this team faced the 6th easiest schedule last season by Sharp Football Analysis. This year, they faced the 24th easiest. So by that math, the 9th hardest schedule. Then you look at defense, right? It's a good defense. Credit to them, right? We talked about Payne. We talked about Jonathan Allen, Chase Young, Montez Sweat. It's a very good defensive line, and it is what kept them in games last year. Like, they were 6-3 in one-score games. Coach, as I assume you
Whoever
know,
drafted them is a smart guy.
exactly. Those stats tend to regress, right? Because if they only went 4-5 in one-score games last year compared to 6-3, they would have gone 6-11-1 last year, not 8-8-1. So I look at the defense, and I like some of the
about
guys.
a lot of teams, right?
Sorry?
You can say that about a lot of teams.
Yeah, it's just a stat that when you're really good in one-score games, next season it goes down. We see in the NFL all the time. We see it a lot in MLB. We
Well,
see
you
it
got
in
bet
NBA.
against the Vikings then too, right? The Vikings had like 12 of them.
They were 11-0 in one-score games. I'm probably going to end up fading them. It's just one of those stats where, if the Vikings never faded, if the Vikings never won that game against the Bills, in overtime, they didn't have a couple bounces go their way. It's just normally that doesn't end up working out for them. So then I look at the schedule change, right? They go from 6th, they go to 24th. But then the cherry on top of the sundae, this ownership group, when it moved in, they didn't draft Sam Howell, right? They aren't Ron Rivera people. This is a new regime. And we see in the draft next year that there's Caleb Williams, that there's Drake May. I see an offense that did nothing to improve, where they got lucky last year and faced a much harder schedule of defenses. I see a defense that faced a bottom 5 schedule of offenses, and now we're going to face a top 10 schedule of offenses this year. Let's see you be a top 10 defense again against a much harder schedule. And I see a regime that, if they don't start out hot, I think Ron Rivera's gone. I think they sell off pieces. And I think they go gunning for that quarterback because this regime did not draft Sam Howell. They're only favorited in 3 games this year. They're a 6-point favorite against the Cardinals. They're a 1-point favorite against the Bears. I'm high on the Bears. I think the Bears win that game. And then they're a 1-point favorite against the Giants at home. Yeah, they probably split with the Giants. This team's not going to win 0 games. They probably win week 1 against the Cardinals. But they got games at Philly. They got games in Dallas. They have just a really, really tough schedule. Bills, a lot of good teams on the schedule. I think this team is destined for the cellar. And then you just look at their own division, right? You got the Cowboys, the Eagles, and the Giants.
I think they play the NFC West as well. Don't they play the Rams and the 49ers and the Seahawks?
And I'm high on the Rams. I'm high on the Seahawks, and I'm high on the 49ers. This just doesn't feel like I can't find 7 wins in the schedule, Coach. So I took them under, and I sprinkled on.
I have the script right here. Remember, I had the script, the Caleb Williams script, going back to DC. Remember that. It's going back to DC.
All right. What was it? What are you talking about?
I remember from 2 episodes ago, I had the script.
Oh, yeah.
I had the script that Caleb Williams will be a DC commander, whatever they're going to be next year, because I don't know if they're changing their name back, but they're not going to be so hot.
They'll be in the running. I think you're right. I think it's a smart play. I really do. I'd love to root, because I coach some of these guys, and I don't like to root against them. And some of the coaches are still on staff, I believe, but and they have a new owner now, so I'm impartial whether they win or lose. I used to root for them to lose every game when Dan Snyder was there, but now I'm okay. But you're right. I just think with an unproven quarterback that's played 1 game in his career, there's way too many question marks. There's not enough help around him to make him successful. Eric Bieniemy's going to try to do some things. I mean, they really relied on Travis Kelce and some of the quirky type stuff, the outside zones and the RPOs and all that stuff. And I don't think Brian Robinson's that type of back, but they don't have an inline tight end that can really block for the running game to be a power back for Brian Robinson to be successful. There's just a lot of I don't know what their identity is going to be. I think Ron Rivera wants to be a run the ball 3-1 type guy. I don't think they have the personnel to do that. I think they need to run some zone reads, some RPOs and things of that nature. But the personnel just doesn't match what they should be able to do, if that makes sense.
No, it makes total sense.
Ron Rivera's come out and said they want to run the ball 3-1. I mean, I'm like, come on. It's hard to do in the NFC East, hard to do in the NFL, period, especially if you don't have a tight end that can block the point of attack. I mean, you don't have a fullback on the roster. So I don't know. It just doesn't make much sense. To me, they need to spread it out and try to get Antonio out in space and try to get the ball to McLaurin and Doxson and the rest of the guys. But we'll see. Don't
Hey,
think they're
hey, Pop, do you remember the Brian Robinson prop I gave out? What his total yards was? Do you remember the number I gave you?
800.
Nah, he gave you 800. It was 675 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago when I got it. Now it's up to almost 800.
Really?
Yeah.
Isn't that something? Way to go, JJ.
I think I had an influence on the trend because I made sure I tweeted that out and everything, talking about Brian Robinson's player prop. And I think everyone hopped on it and bumped that thing up. But anyway, Pete, we got a tight schedule, man. I wish I could have got your player prop, but we got 2 more people behind you.
You're all good.
But real quick, where can people find you?
Absolutely. So you can find me on Twitter at PeterApple23, but it's spelled APPEL, not like the fruit. And we do a live Twitch show where we go over all of our picks for the day in MLB. And then once NFL comes, it's called Not Gambling Advice. You can find us on Twitch. We're live every day, Monday through Friday, 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Just want to thank you guys for having me on. This is
What's
fun.
a player prop real quick? What's a player prop? Hurry.
I'm thinking about Lamar Jackson over passing touchdowns with Todd Monken
Love it.
involved now.
That's a winner chicken dinner. Too many
I
weapons
appreciate
out there
Peter.
for him.
Appreciate you
Yeah,
guys.
thanks
Thanks
for coming
again.
on, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
Dad, I know you're not a big Twitter guy, but this guy was actually big on Twitter before I got into the whole content creating thing on TikTok and Twitter. Dead Prez Picks. What's happening, brother? How are you?
What's up, guys? Yeah, appreciate you guys having me on. Super fired up to get into some of these props and been listening to the whole show. So I think I got a new one, but I might have missed it. But I got a few winners for us tonight.
Awesome. So let's go ahead and get right into it. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but what's your favorite team prop of the upcoming season?
All right, so I'm all in on the New York Jets hype. I know there's a lot of it out there, Hard Knocks, that whole thing. But I'm hitting them in a few different ways. So team total over on wins, like that a lot. But when it gets to a value standpoint, I knocked in on them to win the division at plus. I got it at plus 300 a few weeks ago. I think it's down a little bit at kind of that 250 range right now on DraftKings. Obviously a good division, but I see it as a 2-horse race between Buffalo and New York. Miami is a good team, but I feel like they have had some issues in the offseason, injuries, some off-the-field stuff. So I like this Jets team over them. Feel as if this is a team that has the potential to have that, top 5 offense, top 5 defense kind of thing. It's tough in the AFC. Obviously, the Bills have controlled that division, but I like the value. If you want to get a little crazy, taking them to win the AFC, it's 10-1 right now on DraftKings Sportsbook. So I'm all in on the Jets this year, so I'm going to try to hit them in a few different ways.
I do. I had the Dolphins winning the division, and I might be a hard knock homer right now, but after watching the Jets and just seeing Aaron Rodgers, I'm kind of like really falling for the Jets right now. I actually took them their win total over too. I took them to make the playoffs. I even took them to win the AFC championship game. I really, really like the Jets. I think when you plug in a guy like Aaron Rodgers into a defense that they already had with the offensive rookie of the year, I think that could be big things. I know, Pop, I think you had the Jets to win the division too, didn't you?
I do like the Jets. I think a team that played great defense last year without a quarterback. Now they had a Hall of Fame quarterback. Obviously, they're going to be a lot better. But I think that the AFC East is loaded. I think Miami's going to be really good. Adding Jalen Ramsey and Howard at the corner position. Had a new defensive coordinator, Vic Fangio, who I think is one of the better defensive coordinators in the league. That's going to help them out a lot to go along with an explosive offense with Tua if he stays healthy. And you can't just say Belichick's not going to be any good. They're going to win 7 or 8 games against somebody, and then obviously the Bills. So it's going to be a dogfight. But I don't think you'd be wrong, other than probably New England. I don't think you could be wrong. I think the Jets have as good a chance as any because they do have Aaron Rodgers and a great defense. But Bills are pretty good on defense, and they have Josh Allen. And I love Miami's defensive additions with the coordinator in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Perez, one of my favorite player props is actually on the New York Jets. I think it's my favorite player prop of all of them. I want to hear your opinion. I don't want to steal your thunder if it's your play or not, but I love Garrett Wilson's over 1,125 yards receiving this season. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, I love that too. Well, the thing is, like you guys were saying, no quarterback last year. We had Zach Wilson thrown to him, Mike White, whoever it was. Now he gets a chance to work with Rodgers. Maybe we'll see that kind of Devontae Adams type of connection that we saw for years in Green Bay. So I feel like the sky's the limit for Wilson. I'm just excited to watch that whole offense. They have so many playmakers there. But, yeah, I mean, the fact that now he gets a chance to work with a future Hall of Famer after having to suffer with what he had last year, it's definitely exciting for the Jets. Obviously, winning Rookie of the Year at his position with those guys throwing to him, it should be a massive season because he still put up great numbers with those guys last year. So I'm all over that. I think the only way it doesn't get there is if there's some kind of injury, but if he can stay healthy throughout the year, I'd be shocked if he went under that number.
Offensive line's horrible, so they got to worry about that.
Yeah.
It's hard to get the ball to your outside receiver when you don't have no time to set your feet. So if the offensive line can prove to be a little bit better than they have so far this year and part of last year, they have a chance. But if not, it'll be a tough number to hit.
Perez, I want to get your pick in just a second. Dad, when you have a guy like Garrett Wilson going up against a player like Sauce Gardner, what does that do for your team? How does that affect your team?
Well, it's fun to watch. I mean, it makes everybody more competitive. I think all the defensive backs, the young defensive backs and veteran defensive backs, they love to watch. Great competition just kind of filters throughout the team. I mean, you see that, then the next running back against a linebacker want to go. The tight end against a safety, they want to go. The hype just continues to build up when you see greatness like that perform at a high level. Everybody wants to try to get to that level, though it's very difficult, but it just makes everybody want to compete. And it's a lot more fun to watch two great players go at it as opposed to two duds.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Perez, let me hear what your favorite player prop this season is.
All right, so I went with a future here in the Rookie of the Year market. So I'm going Anthony Richardson, Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year. So this is another one that I called a better number than it currently is at, but I feel like he's going to have a monster season paired now with Shane Steichen, who I'm an Eagles fan, so big fan of his coming over. We saw what he did with Jalen Hurts. Obviously, Hurts is a little better at this stage in his career than Richardson, but I feel as if you look at the field, and Richardson, you can make the case might be the most NFL-ready quarterback coming in to the situation that he is. I don't think you really have to look over his shoulder all that much. I think he's going to be the guy. They're going to let him go out there and do what he has to do. And the thing is I expect the Colts to have a rough season, be down in a lot of games, which might make his numbers look a little bit better than they already are. So probably throwing a lot, playing from behind a lot. And he's a guy who can do it in multiple ways, obviously a dual threat quarterback. So I think he's going to have a big season, and I love the number that we could still get him at to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. So that's my favorite player prop coming into the season.
What do you think about that, Pop?
That's a good one. I think he's an explosive guy. I mean, his ability to run the ball and obviously launch it deep is a great weapon. I think he definitely has a chance. I mean, there's some good other running backs. I think the running back from Atlanta's got a chance, and the running back from Detroit's got a chance. They're explosive players. But if you're going to take a quarterback, I'd probably lean towards Richardson as well.
Yeah, the only thing that scares me about Richardson, he only played 13 games as a starter at UF, I think it was. I don't think he played many games.
Right.
That's the only thing that freaks me out about that. But I think Anthony Richardson, that's my Rookie of the Year prop. Actually, I bet that as well. I love that play. Just his athletic ability alone can get him the job or get the award won for him. So I really do like that play.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd take Robinson myself, the running back from Atlanta, because they're building their team to run the ball so it fits him. There won't be any growing pains with a guy with his explosiveness. There might be some growing pains with Richardson. He'll be able to run the ball and do some things, but I just think the way Atlanta's building their team with the tight ends and Bijan, I just think he's got a chance to go over 12, 1,300 yards and have a chance to beat a quarterback maybe.
There you go. That's a lot of yards.
There's 17 games. I mean, it's like 70 yards a game, 80 yards a game, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it seems like I'm looking at the odds now. Yeah, Bijan's the favorite, then Bryce, and then Richardson. So I think they all got a shot. We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah.
Well, awesome, Prez. I appreciate you coming on, man. Where can people find you?
On Twitter at DebPrezPicks. Same on TikTok, Instagram, all at DebPrezPicks. So follow. We'll have content pumped out all season long. So I appreciate both of you having me on tonight, and I'll be tuned in the rest of the episode.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot for coming on.
All right. I'll see you guys. Take care.
All right. We got one more for the finale, Pop. I know you're getting antsy. I know the ADD is kicking in just a little bit. Mine is too.
So is mine, but we're all good, man. What's up?
There we go. Ben Carey, owner, right, of Capwise?
Yeah, owner, founder of Capwise. That's correct.
Owner and founder of Capwise. Ben, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. You know what? I think this is our third season that we've done shows together, and I'm just happy to speak with the Gruden and coach that knows football finally. So I lost you there, TTP.
Yeah, you went numb. You went mute there, JJ.
Hey, I got a question for you, Coach, while JJ figures out how to use his computer. Something I wanted to ask you about scoring in the NFL. And I think primarily this is due to two high safety looks that we've been seeing for the most part of the season last year. Defensive coordinators rolling out these two high safeties just to keep everything in front of them. And I think scoring was the lowest it's been since 2017. I'm just curious if you have any thoughts on that as a whole, and if that continues, or if the offensive coordinators this year kind of catch up to that now that, there's plenty of film with this coverage and things like that. I'm just curious your thoughts on that.
I think there's a couple things. I think you can get away with two high safety looks now and playing more conservative because there's a couple lack of positions. There's no real good fullbacks anymore. There's very few very good inline blocking tight ends anymore. So it's more of a spread type field. So you want to get more coverage out there. And the offensive lines, I think overall from now, I think is just progressively getting a little bit worse. And the defensive lines are a little bit better right now. They're more powerful. The teams with good offensive linemen, 5 offensive linemen, really good ones, are very few and far between. So the whole goal for defenses, in my opinion, we're not going to give up the big play. All right,
Exactly.
We're going to let you nickel and dime us, which keeps the clock going. Right,
Mhm.
We're gonna run the ball for 4 or 5 yards, fine. 2nd and 5. You want to take a shot? It ain't working. You know what I mean? You're going to have to check the ball down. It's 3rd and 2. We'll try to get you off the field on 3rd down. So I think that's a mentality. And then when they cross midfield and defensive coordinators get a little more aggressive with the blitz packages, 3rd down and 8+, they get more creative with their blitz packages. But 1st, 2nd down, I think the majority of teams are going to play their 3 deep spot drop zone, which is hard to get deep on. Their quarters, their cover 2, their quarter halves, and make sure their corners don't give up the big plays.
Yeah, look at a guy like Tyreek last year. He had 1,700 yards, only 7 touchdowns. I mean, 7's not a bad number, but you'd think with that yardage number, he would have hit at least 10, and I think it kind of speaks to what you're saying, just the defense keeping everyone in front of them. So, JJ, you back?
Can you hear me? Am I good?
Yeah, you're good now.
All right, there we go.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. All right, let's go ahead and hop right into it. Ben, we want to hear your favorite team prop for the upcoming season. What you got for us?
Yeah, I think for a team prop, we can let's go with a Super Bowl prop. And this is one where, I was thinking about which one I wanted to give out, but I'm going to buy the hype, I think, with this team and some of the pieces that they got. But I'm going to go with the Ravens to win the Super Bowl, 20-1. And,
Wow.
Yeah, I'm a Broncos guy. I mean, we could talk about that later, but I think the Ravens as a team, it really comes down to the health of Lamar, right? And that's risky the way he plays as a running quarterback. But I really think with Munkin, Zay Flowers, a guy that I watched in college, I think he's extremely underrated. It seems like the market's finally catching up to this guy that, he's actually legit. Likely is a threat. They have Bateman, another wide receiver. Their running backs, they're kind of interchangeable. I think the defense will hold its own. I like the value. I think the Ravens are a team that if they do stay healthy, their upside is high ceiling, and the AFC is competitive. I know you guys were talking about this earlier compared to the NFC. I think there's more contenders out of the AFC than NFC, but I think the Ravens at 20-1, I'll play the value there.
Yeah, that's not a bad call. I just worry about the Ravens. To me, when I think about the Baltimore Ravens, I think of a stellar, stout defense and offensive lines, tough physical team. I just don't know if their defense is that good anymore like they used to be. I just think of Ray Lewis. And I know they got Queen, and I know they got the guy from Chicago, 2 really good linebackers. I just worry about their corner play, their safety play a little bit. And I don't know who rushes a passer for them that can get constant pressure on guys like Joe Burrow and Deshaun Watson and all that moving forward. And obviously Pittsburgh with their weapons they have. But I do love the fact that they have some weapons for Lamar. And they're going to be very hard to stop, and it's going to be fun for them to watch. And I think that I picked them earlier on. I said they were one of my top 5 teams that maybe win a Super Bowl personally. I had them Cincinnati, Kansas City, Philadelphia, and I think Dallas. So, yeah.
Dallas is my other team out of the NFC. My goal is always to try to see if you can get a Super Bowl contender from each side, each conference, and then at that point you're guaranteed money. And last year I was high on the Eagles. I had them making it, and I think I had the Bills on the other side. But yeah, this year I think I'm going Cowboys Ravens as kind of my Super Bowl matchup prediction.
Interesting.
NFC's wide open.
Very interesting.
NFC's wide open. I'll say that much.
I think it's all. I think AFC is pretty open too. I think there's some really good teams coming out of AFC. It's going to be a battle. I mean, Kansas City, they were 14-3 last year. I get it. I mean, they were good. But the teams that beat them, they won the turnover battle and time of possession. So if you can keep the ball from Mahomes, create a couple turnovers, they can be knocked off. They really can. So, and there's a lot of teams that can do that.
On that point, Coach JJ, before we probably get into the player prop, I wanted to ask you about Eric Bieniemy. I'm a Colorado guy, so a lot of people out here have been pulling for him to get the head coaching position and things like that. But when he was in Kansas City, I never ever got a clear answer on this, and it's kind of gray. But he necessarily wasn't the play caller in Kansas City. That was more Andy Reid. But he had to have had a pretty high influence on the offense, even though he's not calling plays, just everything kind of behind the scenes, working with the running backs, making sure everyone's on the same page with kind of schemes and things like that, right?
Yeah, for sure. Everybody who's on staff there is part of the game planning and third down, red zone, pass situations, 2-minute drill, short yardage, 4-minute drill. They're all part of the game planning process. Andy Reid just doesn't come in Thursday afternoon and says, okay, here's a play sheet and learn it. You know what I mean? I mean, they're involved on a daily basis with it. I'm sure Eric had a lot of input in the plays that were called. He just may not have called them. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah. So for sure. I mean, Andy Reid is obviously a great offensive mind, but guys have come from a staff. They're also pretty good as well because they learn from them.
Love it. Ben, what's your player prop, favorite one of the 2023 season?
I got two I like. You want an over and under? Do you want over or under for a prop?
I like unders. I'm a
like
sicko.
under?
I like unders.
Okay. Let's go with Najee Harris under 975.5 rushing yards. So Najee Harris is under. Yeah. So this probably won't surprise anyone here, but 80% of running backs last year, if they started, missed a game. No surprise, right? Just the way these running backs just take a beating out there. So you always have that going for you. And if you blindly just play unders, you're hitting at like a 62% rate with these player props just because of injury. So I think to start, I mean, that's a good start to begin with before we even get into the prop.
Wait, hold on. What you got now? What you say?
If you just play the under, I mean, a lot of these unders for these backs, I play almost every under. Hell.
I don't know why anyone, to be honest, I play like 95% unders. Like people playing overs, it's like you just got to get lucky that they stay on the field. And I mean,
yeah.
So my God, you would play almost every single running back under this year?
Yeah. Running backs? I mean, these guys
Yeah.
there's a reason why. I mean, every time they get tackled, there's a risk for an injury, right? I mean, it's a violent game. I mean, play 17 straight games and get 900 yards. It's hard to do. Now, but I mean, some of them are going to do it, obviously, but I would err on the side of an under thinking a guy's going to miss 3 or 4 games just because it's the nature of the position. It's very difficult. If you could guarantee that every guy's going to stay healthy for 17 games, yeah, I'd play every other over, but I'm doing it based on injuries, not on anything else.
Yep. And then a little more X's and O's. I think the Steelers are going to look to air it out a little bit more. I think Kenny Pickett entering his second season with some of the targets he has, of course, Pickens making just insane one-handed catches. You have Deontay Johnson. There's enough guys out. Oh, Washington too. Man, talk about a freak athlete, man. 6'7", like 280. The tight end. They might use him in red zone packages. I mean, he could be a mismatch for some outside linebackers. But yeah, there's enough targets where I think Pickett is going to look to air it out just a little bit more. And then Jaylen Warren has been playing really well in preseason. Grain of salt, of course, preseason. But I do like what I've seen out of him. I think he can steal some snaps too. So I think with all those things, the under is the play there.
They really liked Jay Lee last year. He got hurt, didn't he, towards the middle of the year? He was starting to emerge as a pretty good player. They really liked him, I recall. And then he got hurt, and obviously Najee got more of the reps. But I like that play.
Steelers stink. They stink. They're not
They don't
gonna be that
stink.
good.
Their defense is going to be good. Their Steelers are going to win some
I understand
games.
that. I get that. But they have a hard schedule. They're in the
First game of the year, they
AFC
beat
North. They're not
Cincinnati
gonna win
last year
more
by
than 7
20.
games.
Hey, JJ, I'll say this. I like their under this year, but Tomlin has gone, 13 straight seasons, maybe 14,
He hasn't had a
over
losing season
500?
yet. Yeah, he hasn't
So-
had a losing season.
You got to respect that at least.
I do respect that, but I mean, you were in the AFC North. You got the Bengals, Browns with a win total of 9.5. I think they're going to be better, and I think the and then the Ravens. We just talked about the Ravens being Super Bowl champ. They're not going to win. They're going to only go probably 2-4 in the division at best.
Yeah, Coach, I'm high on the Browns. I don't know about you, but I like the upside.
Yeah, I mean, I just think there's too much competition for the Browns. I mean, obviously Deshaun's got to play better than he did last year, right? Maybe playing better is handing the ball to Chubb every other play. That might help a lot. Maybe play Chubb's over.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I see you did there, Coach.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Cleveland's got some pass rushers. Obviously, they got corners. They got a good defense. I mean, that's going to be it. I mean, last year Cincinnati was 3-3 in a division. They still finished 13 or 12-4, 12-5, whatever it was. I mean, that division notoriously, because I coached in it for 3 years. If you go 3-3 in that division, you feel pretty good about your opportunity to make the playoffs. I mean, it's
when those
Cincinnati, Cleveland's a great rivalry. Pittsburgh, Cincinnati's, Baltimore, Pittsburgh. These go back a long way, and they're great rivalries. And the home field advantage is huge and tough to overcome.
And like the fan bases hate each other. You have some like bad blood with like the Bengals and Steelers, Bengals and Browns, of course. Like, yeah, the teams beat up on each other. Man, talk about hitting the ice bath after one of those games, man. Jesus.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah. But anyway, we're going to have to get close to wrapping up. We don't have much longer on here, Ben. Ben, I appreciate you coming on. Where can people find you?
Yeah, just find me Ben_Cary, CARY_. We'll be doing streams on Twitch too all season long at the Capwise Twitch stream. And yeah, appreciate you having me on, guys. And hopefully we can get back on. I'd love to talk some more ball with Coach, but appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
You started trying to say go Broncos. We cut his ass out. Dad, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. I'm not going to go ahead. I know you want another, what do you want? A little drinky? I need to get another drink myself. Tito's? Were you drinking Tito's?
No, I'm drinking water, JJ.
Oh, I was drinking beer.
That's a shocker.
Yeah. Anyway, again, this episode is brought to you by BetJack. Above all, appreciate everyone for coming on. Thank you all for coming. Jets, Super Bowl champions, possibly. I think I'm on the train now.
So if you didn't see Hard Knocks, you wouldn't be on them at all. Just because you watched an episode of Hard Knocks with Aaron Rodgers throwing a slant pass?
Well, no, he actually picked up grass and he rubbed it on his fingers and he helps get texture on the ball. So I went with that reason.
You're such an idiot sometimes.
Thanks for joining, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.